Peter, thank you so much for making time for me. As you know, Toronto this weekend, very excited about two things. One, the Toronto Raptors, of course, being in the NBA Finals, but also Ghostbusters. We're going to get a chance to hear the orchestrated version, of course, that your dad created. A lot of people are excited about this. A lot of people have been fans of Ghostbusters. I, myself, big fan. I have actually several different album vinyl versions of Ghostbusters and the soundtrack and everything that you can think of. I mean, what do you think it was about Ghostbusters, the music behind Ghostbusters, that has become so iconic over the years?
Not sure about the music, but the movie was just one of those occasions where everything went right. I remember reading the original script and thinking, wow, this reads really nicely. And it just seemed like every decision that was made along the way was the right decision, or at least in the final version was the right decision. And you don't always see that.
But we felt it, though. We completely had some kind of connection with this movie that made us laugh. It was, about ghosts. So, it's just something connected with us, and it's connected for so many years. Your father, though, film composer, he's, composed music for the Magnificent Seven. How did he approach something like this, knowing that there were going to be so many crazy and odd things going on the screen? How did he approach that to have the right music behind this?
He started this run of comedies in 1978 with Animal House. And between then and when he finally got tired of comedies about a year after Ghostbusters, he did a lot of them. And he was tremendously gifted as a composer, obviously, but he was also a very, very smart dramatist. And he understood at his core what was happening dramatically and what music should be doing with it. And if he didn't understand it at his core, if he watched it long enough, he would figure it out. In Ghostbusters, you had a lot of things coming together. You had what a few years before would have been called a youth comedy. However, this was expanded into the comedy and the love story and the ghost story and maybe the end of the world all thrown in. And how do you treat that musically? The answer was actually very carefully in each scene, where he's constantly walking a fine line between the comedy, but having to let the audience know that the characters in the film really do believe in the supernatural part of it, but not making it so dangerous that it gets in front of the comedy. He thought about this one a lot. I was the orchestrator, one of the orchestrators, so I was right there. And he thought about it a lot, and he had to make decisions on almost every scene based on all those considerations. And again, a series of very good decisions.
Because I do believe there are, in the film itself, there's at least 30 different music pieces altogether, but I think you guys created over 40 music pieces.
Well, there are 40 in the film as it exists now.
Right.
And there were quite a few that aren't there because at the time the film was being scored, nobody really knew what was going to be replaced by songs. So we had to cover all those spots.
What was the most difficult spot to create? What was the most difficult score to create? And for what scene?
Well, I can't speak for him, but there are scenes that... There's that whole scene between Bill Murray and Sigourney Weaver when she's possessed. How do you play that? It's very funny. But is it dangerous? Is it funny? Is it spooky? He chose the possession aspect of it, kind of a little spooky, and he never had a nod toward the comedy in it, in the music. Just putting myself in his place, that would have been very difficult.
Going the opposite side now, what scenes were the most fun to compose?
I would have to say the same scene.
Really? Why is that?
For the same. Well, because it presented that challenge. That also makes it fun.
Well, the whole scene, like I said, the whole film is so much fun. Of course, my favorite is just the beginning of the Marshmallow Man coming out. That one seems to stand out for me. And also, whenever and correct me if I'm wrong, I wish I could repeat the music itself though. When the guys get together, there's that sort of like do 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 do. Do you know what I mean?
The bouncy theme?
Yes, that
yeah.
seems to be a big standard. Where did that creation come from?
No idea. That was just him being smart. But as long as we're on the subject, I can't tell you what I think not only the most difficult, but the smartest bit of scoring is in that film. And that's the very opening scene. Where the music takes you to a place, that's the camera panning down on the New York Public Library. Mm-hmm. And the music actually sounds like it could be serious. It takes you just to the edge of, this might be like seriously spooky and strange. And that scene takes you right out of it, of course. But it's so smart because it leaves the audience suspenseful, not knowing really what's going to happen.
And if I'm remembering correctly, too, that theme is that part of the score, it's used a few times, too, when we're getting into, as you just said, this sort of serious moment. But then, of course, somewhere along the line, the comedy is going to sneak right back in.
Yes, that's a series of 5 or 6 chords. They also appear at the end of that scene we talked about earlier with Bill Murray and Sigourney Weaver. And, those are like, those could be flat-out horror movie chords from the 50s. But as I had to recreate this score, I had to reorchestrate the score essentially because it's not for a recording orchestra, it's for a symphonic orchestra. And in so doing, analyzing what's really going on musically in those chords, and they're so good and they're so smart. It's just wonderful.
So if I understand correctly, there's a re-release that's going on on CD and on vinyl also?
Yes, it's the original score, the original recordings of the original score, along with a number of pieces that were not used in the film, some of which I have resurrected for the live version of the film. There's a few things I added which seemed appropriate in a live situation, and they're on that release as well.
I am so looking forward to this. It's going to be, like I said, incredible to have that in my hands because I still have all my albums vinyl, so I've got somewhere to play that on my turntable. So I'm looking forward to definitely.
You're going to get the actual vinyl.
Yes.
You're a serious guy.
Hey, I will live and die by vinyl, trust me. But, Toronto gets an extra kick, too, because they get to hear an orchestra play this. What is it like to hear this, not just on CD, not just on vinyl, but to hear an orchestra play this live in front of people?
It's awesome. The score is a big score, and it's a powerful score in places. And in the movie, if it's doing its job correctly, you're not really thinking about it. It's helping you emotionally. One of the things my father was really good at, it's literally underscoring the film. And if you notice it too much as a casual film watcher, the music's probably not doing its job. But here, the music's featured, and you get to experience the power of that score.
Again, so looking forward to this. I have to say very quickly, because I know we're running out of time, thank you so much for making time to talk to me about this. You know, it's funny because, you know, growing up and when you watch these movies and whatever, you never really think that you're going to get a chance to get an inside look or an inside feel on these things that have been part of your life all, you know, throughout all this time. So having a chance to talk to you about something that has been part of my life and so many others is something really special. I want to say thank you to your father for making this happen, and thank you for making this happen and giving us that sneak peek on what it was like and what we can expect.
You're very welcome, and I'm having a wonderful time doing it.
Looking forward to all of this. Again, thank you again, and hopefully we can talk again soon.
Thank you very much.
Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters!